And that,
Yeah, it was in St. Joe's. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Peterson. It wasn't Peterson's. Brevco had Peterson there. I think it was at St. Joe.
This would have been
a long time ago.
That would have been a long time ago. 12 years ago when I was 50.
Right,
I mean, I've had another one since then, but that one.
Pat Komorowski came by, the president of the hospital, when I was there.
Oh, what conversations we have.
The older you get, you talk about crazy stuff.
Squirrels are crazy around here.
Time is it?
Yeah, it looks like it's that time. 6:16.
Where's everybody at?
Hey, Gary Terlina,
Yes.
did you ever meet your opponent?
No.
Does anybody know what he looks like except for Donna?
Yeah, he actually had flyers.
We did?
He went around, I guess he went around and did some door to door. Barbara had one of his flyers. I mean, it wasn't negative or anything. Seemed like a nice young man.
Yeah.
That's what Donna said.
He worked the apartments pretty hard.
Which apartments, Gary?
Cedar Lakes or whatever it is.
Oh, Cedar Lakes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are they frequent voters over there, Gary?
Apparently they are.
I didn't know they were either. Huh.
Well, I told people in my subdivision whenever they asked. First of all, they said, "Were you running, Gary?" I said, "No, but the other Gary is, and you should vote for him."
Yeah, the other Gary T.
I guess I should have got, I think a lot of my people didn't vote as many as they normally do. And I think that's part of the reason it was closer than I thought it should be.
Mhm.
But anyway,
I thought it was
my ward mate selected and I'm happy as heck.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations, everyone.
So it's 6:17. You guys want to get started?
Nope.
Yep. Let's get started.
Okay. Good evening. First item on the agenda is our summer concert and movies conversation, whether or not to have them this coming second half of the summer. Darren's going to talk about the concerts that we have lined up and kind of what they've told us about rescheduling. Darren, you want to take it away?
Yeah, and actually this is good timing with the restrictions opening up a little bit in the state. Probably a good idea to talk about some other issues in the park, such as playgrounds and the splash pad and rentals. But first, to kind of talk about the concerts and the movies, we have 4 left that have not been canceled this year. All of the bands have been totally understanding of everything, and we paid deposits on all those bands. They've said that if we reschedule to a future year, we can apply that deposit later. So I guess really we're looking at 2 issues here. One is our comfort level, offering events at this point. You know, we could do things where we put up signage for people walking in to wash their hands and practice social distancing and all the things that people are doing with COVID-19. But their guidelines, we'd have to rely on people's own ability to social distance as they see fit. And then the second issue is budget restraints. So currently there's no money available for concerts and movies this year. So adjustments would have to be made for the 2021 fiscal year. Do have a clarification to make from the memo that was included in your packet. So we have paid a little over $4,000 in deposits. That's in a prepaid account. So whatever year we use that deposit for is the year that it'll be applied to. So if we have concerts this year, we'd have an additional $6,490. So for all 4 concerts, it would be a total of about $10,500 to run the last 4 concerts of the year. And then movies would be the same question on comfort level, but no deposits have been paid. And that it costs about $900 per movie to offer those. And then currently we have 2 dates that are promoted, but haven't made a decision yet.
You're saying we took them out of the budget, right?
Can I ask Darren a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something, Gary?
I just said we took them out of the budget, correct?
Correct.
Did you talk to me at the CA?
I have not talked to anybody at the CA.
because they had their concert Saturday.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I
You're right.
went to that concert Saturday night.
Oh, you did?
A lot of people came by boat. It was set up, and I guess it was mainly set up for the CA because a lot of the people were in that bar area, and there wasn't, since they allowed parking in the parking lot, there was hardly any room in the parking lot for people to put chairs. But I guess, since they figured it was just for CA members, typically a lot of the people in the CA come by boat. So, there's a lot of boats there, a lot of boats out in the water too. And then a few people sitting out there. They didn't have the tables set out, but now I think they've done it different because they have the bar there. That bar area isn't where the bands are. The bands are, kind of over almost near the docks. And then they set up some canopies and that for the band. And I guess that's where the bands will be in the future because the bar area, you got the bar there and it'd be hard for the band to be playing and have their equipment with the bar and people going back and forth to it. But they didn't have any additional restrooms, but I guess it was supposed to just be for, CA members only, so.
But were they?
Was
how
there
many people
social
were-
distancing? Probably not. How many people do I think were there? It's
Not
hard
a
to
boat.
say because so
Not-
many
not
were
a
out in their
boat.
boats at the dock. Probably,
Not
gosh, probably
counting
a
boats.
couple hundred at least,
Kathy, not counting boats
not counting the boats.
in the parking lot.
Oh, I don't know, maybe 100 but then there were a bunch in the bar. I don't know, maybe a little over 100. But you got to remember that's a concert that wasn't advertised. Our concerts, we get people from other towns and the
Oh,
rest
yeah,
of Lake St.
yeah.
Louis. That was only advertised on the CA if you got their newsletter, really. So
Yeah, okay.
some people weren't even
Excellent.
aware that there was a concert.
If I may, on the 19th of this month, we're having a concert at HHR. And basically it's Charlie Mann and his band, which is, some of you know, is Charlie and 2 or 3 other folks. They're going to be performing just on the porch of our clubhouse. And we're going to be sitting in the parking lot, keeping social distance, I guess, and watching it. Once again, it's like CA, it's our own. And I guess at this point, my feeling is, and no disrespect to Windjammer, but to me, if we're going to have a concert at this point using municipal funds, which of course we don't have in the budget starting 1 July, I quite frankly would rather see it by the clock tower in the Meadows, which to me is more inclusive. Of course, that's not on the agenda tonight. What you had set up was not to be done at the Meadows.
Right.
I guess my feeling is Windjammer is relatively far away from most of the rest of the city. So unless we're going to do a concert at the Meadows, as far as putting money back in the budget, I guess I'm not for reinstating those concerts and try to set it up next year instead.
Well, question for Darren. Darren, I don't agree too much with what Gary just said because you're gonna be inclusive, no matter where you are, in the park or in the parking lot, it's gonna be the same. My question is, if we decide to have them, is there gonna be anything like O'Fallon, for example, has these little circles or something like that to keep people distance? What are we gonna have? We're gonna have signs indicating that? And I know you can't do much because people are gonna do what they're gonna do, but I would hate to see like 200 or 300 people all jammed right outside where the rocks are sitting together.
Yeah, and I talked to the O'Fallon director a little bit about the circles that they're promoting. He doesn't know how it's going to play out yet. So their first 2 concerts are basically drive-in style where you're just sitting in the car listening. They're going to try starting in July where they have those 10-foot circles. But he said that in reality, he doesn't know how it's going to play out, because if you get a family of, I don't know, 4 or 6 people that show up and they're all going to try to cram into that little space, is that possible? And then the way they have them all set up, you have to walk by them or through them to get to the other sections. Right. So he said it's something that they're trying, but in reality, it's not going to make the social distancing aspect like we want. And then he said that he doesn't know how many circles they're going to be able to put, but he doesn't know what's going to happen if more people show up in the circles and where they're going to go. So there's some things that they're hoping, I guess, will work itself out after their first concert that they just don't know yet because they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, well, the thing is that regardless of what you do, the second part of my statement here, regardless of what you do to try to do it, people are not gonna social distance. They're gonna get jamming. They're gonna see friends, and they're gonna get together and stuff like that. So, our question for us is, do we want to just say, okay, everybody else is opening up? Or are we gonna open up? That's the question for us tonight, I think.
I agree with John. I also think that outside it's less risk, and if restaurants and casinos are opening, and even my daughter's soccer team started in St. Louis County today for practice. Outside it's lower risk than it would be inside in a concert. So, I'm more inclined to see outside activities than any inside activities. That's just my opinion.
Well, soccer players are a little tougher than regular people,
No, I agree with Jason as far as being outside. I think I've made my feelings known before. I think a lot of what we did here was well-intentioned, but over the top. Some of the things was allowed and other things that weren't. I think it only hurt certain businesses and really, but I'm not going to get on the soapbox on that. I think if we're going to have something outside, that's fine. But I just feel like that we should be looking for the future to have it at a more central location for the city.
I think if we just call it a riot, we'll be okay.
Well,
We just call it a riot, we'll be okay.
What was that?
I'd
Yeah,
say
yeah, go ahead, Gary.
if we just call it a riot, should be okay.
Yeah, right.
Well,
And
we've always had them at a variety of places. I don't think we just have it at one place. We've had it at Boulevard Park. We sponsored a concert last year at the Meadows. We had one at, we had a couple at Windjammer. I don't think we have all of our parks at the Meadows, though. I mean, if we want to have one and have, concerts, if we want to have one at the Meadows, that's something we need to talk to the Meadows about. And then you run into the restroom issue again.
Well,
The room here, guys, the big elephant in the room here is budget. So we're gonna have to take money out of reserves to pay for this.
and I agree with Karen. I think if we didn't have the money problems, I don't care where we have it, but I think Windjammer is the best place, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
But we're not doing projects for the, so what we're going to, I don't understand.
Yeah, we're not sweeping streets,
Yeah.
and we've already heard about that. That was what, 15,000 a year?
But I'm not saying to have every concert, but I don't know. I just think it looks good to at least have one concert. I think it's,
I agree, Kathy. And
not to have anything, or maybe one movie.
I spoke to Paul
I don't
about
know
the tax. I spoke to Paul about the tax coming in. And Paul, did you let them know that the other surrounding cities were less than 10% below their revenues?
I don't think I had a chance to tell everybody that.
And then maybe there's a chance that some of the cities or some of the business just hasn't reported yet, but all of our surrounding communities had less than 10% off. So I'm hoping maybe we're similar in nature. I don't know for sure. Nobody will until Paul gets the list of companies.
Well, I agree with the mayor. I agree with Kathy that we should have some outside And, you know, I'm looking at the list and I would, you know, we could do the one in August 29th, September 26th, just off the top of my head. And that's not that much money. And based upon what Jason said and what Paul may be finding out, you know, a lot of people are out shopping again.
But they're not shopping at the Meadows.
Yeah,
There's nothing
Yeah.
open.
right.
Well, no, some of them are open, but
Yeah,
Is Von Mar open?
Bed Bath & Beyond is open now, et cetera. But that's not where most of our revenue comes from. It comes from Walmart. It comes from Lowe's, and they're actually higher. So anyway,
Why don't we take a vote?
Are we talking about for just one concert and one movie this year, or none whatsoever?
One or none?
I'll make a motion that we have a concert on August 29 and September 26, no movies.
I think we probably should have a movie. That's kind of for the kids.
Yeah, I agree. If
I don't
they're
know,
going
what's
to-
everyone else think?
I agree. If they're going to soccer and baseball practices, I think, you know, they can go to an outside movie.
Maybe
I agree.
a concert?
I'll withdraw my motion and let Jason make one.
Okay, I motion to have the 2 concerts in a movie.
2 concerts and a
Two
movie.
now, 2 or 1?
Well, he said 2, so I'm going with the 2 concerts in a movie.
2 men in the truck.
Yeah. And we'll have more data by August and September anyway.
Do
So
we hear a bid, a lower bid?
So what is that, $5,000 a piece, Darren?
No, not quite. I mean, I think the most expensive concert's probably 2,500 and the least expensive is 1,500.
So 2,000 average. We
Yeah,
had
that's a
2.
good average.
Yeah, so 2,000, that'd be $4,000. Is that right? If we had 2?
2, and then we have to spend $1,000 for, even if we run one concert, we have licensing.
Oh,
fees.
yeah, I read that. Yeah, where it's,
Yeah.
so that's like $500 a concert. So that's 25 grand. And then the movies are $900, isn't the thing say?
Correct.
Do you have to pay a licensing fee on that?
That is, yeah, that covers the licensing fee.
So
Darren,
so we'd have 5,
$6 grand.
$6 grand total. I don't care about that. I don't think we ought to have 4.
No, I don't either.
don't
And
either
if-
one.
So my motion was 2 concerts in a movie.
I'll
That's right.
second. I'll second.
Question.
Which concerts?
Yeah, for Darren, which ones do you recommend as far as the 1 movie and the 2 concerts?
Well, I guess it will depend on if it's 2 concerts with, and a movie with a cap of $6,000. Then I just need to go back and see exactly what we're paying these concerts. I know the Rough Riders are going to be probably the most popular band, but they're going to be the most expensive. Whereas ADD is probably one of our the band that we would pay the least amount for. So if I've got direction on a dollar amount, I can come back with a proposal on which ones we can fit into that dollar amount.
How much more is the Rough Riders, Darren? Do you think?
I think they're the $2,500 one.
Okay, so then we would be at $6,400.
Rough Riders is 2,500, ADD is 1,500. Big Love is 2,200.
Never heard of them. Are they good?
I haven't heard of them either. Anna does all the research on the bands, and I guess they were pretty popular, so she wanted to give them a shot this year.
I don't care.
Yeah, I'm good.
I think if we just have 2 of them, we're talking about pennies. I mean, arguing over pennies. I mean, we're not going to spend 10 grand or whatever.
No.
Okay, I'll redo the motion. Up to 7,500, same as before.
Okay.
Or I hear 8,000.
Does
Do
he
you have
need
a
a
second,
second?
Jason? I'll second it.
Well, he seconds.
All in favor? Mayor?
Aye.
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 Glad you're back, Jason.
Are you confused, Donna?
Is anybody opposed?
So Darren,
Okay.
what did you pick with that amount? We'll let you pick the concerts and the movies.
And that was two
Jason is
concert and one
muted.
movie.
Jason is
Okay.
muted.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Where do we
And then
want to
if you're
have
ready-
it?
Where you've got it set up.
See one Boulevard Park on here and everything is Windjammer. We spent a lot of money for that Boulevard Park. I don't know why we don't use it a little more often.
Well, and this year, so what we've done in the past, and we're open to suggestions, obviously, is we run 2 concerts at Boulevard and 4 concerts at Windjammer. And this year, the way that the schedules matched up with what was available at different locations, the 2 at Boulevard were just earlier in the season and they got canceled.
And I can sit on my deck and listen to those, so that's why I like it.
Yeah, but the amount of people that come to the boulevard is less.
Wonder why? Because it's easy. I mean, it's easier to get to, it seems like.
I don't know, if you count the boats, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And generally they have more expensive bands too. At Windjammer.
I don't have a boat, so I wouldn't know.
Neither do I sold mine.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
Okay, I think we ought to keep moving on. Derek, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Oh, Paul, I had a couple other things that that we were going to talk about. If you want, we can wait on them. That was about the playgrounds and the rentals.
We're running out of time. I mean,
Okay.
so playground, I guess we're going to open those up with the governor's order. In the
Fine.
rentals, I mean, is there anybody opposed to that?
No.
No.
No, I'm not opposed.
All right.
Nope.
Okay, and then, you know, we're making people sign waivers when they rent a pavilion. Okay, Derek, do you have your presentation loaded up on the screen here?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and take control here. Let me know if you see it.
Yep.
I see it.
Okay. Okay, so Paul and I were talking about the Uptown Sidewalk Grant, and we've decided at a previous meeting to go ahead and apply for that. That project is going to replace the sidewalk or put in sidewalk and pavers against the curb, between the sidewalk and the curb on both sides of Lake St. Louis Boulevard. At the time that would be ready for construction, that street's going to be ready for an overlay. So my recommendation is to plan to overlay that street. We're going to have to replace some curb when we do that overlay. I'd like to swap that rolled curb out for vertical curb to keep people from trying to pull up onto the pavers to park, keep errant vehicles from running into our trees and lights that we're going to be putting in right behind the curb. I think it'll also make it a lot more comfortable for pedestrians to walk on that sidewalk. The thing, I think we can do that with a regular STP grant. So we apply for a TAP grant for the sidewalk and an STP grant for the street. And we can construct those together. The sidewalk is looking like it's going to cost somewhere in the $1 million range, and the overlay and curbs will be somewhere around $300,000. Would be about 70%, or I'm sorry, 30% of the sidewalk cost, so $300,000, and about 20% of the overlay, so that would be under $400,000 for all of that. I didn't feel like it was really fair to ask you to approve that unless you understood what else was going on with our CIP. So that's why I wanted to have this discussion about the big picture of CIP and where those projects would slot in to our future plans. So that's kind of why we're talking about this tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into that. We just have these, start out with, this is a list of the different project types, the different categories that I define these projects as. And I'm getting a lot of feedback from somebody's mic that's unmuted. The speakers are feeding back and I'm having trouble. I'm sorry. That's better. I just left this slide in from a previous, no, it's still there. Adam, I don't know if you can tell where that's coming from. I left this slide in from a previous presentation. Just a reminder that it's always better to maintain what we have than wait for it to fail. I wanted to start out really the discussion with kind of an idea of where we are with our current streets. In 2014, the county did a pavement rating for all the cities. At that point, when you compared at first glance, our PCIs, our pavement condition index, doesn't look very good compared to other cities, but that's mostly because we have a lot more asphalt streets than concrete streets, and for some reason, asphalt streets don't score as well in this system. So if you compare our concrete streets, that's PCC, if you compare our concrete streets to the other cities' concrete streets and our asphalt streets to the other cities' streets, we fare pretty well. In 2014, we had the best condition concrete streets, and we were actually in 4th place of the 5 cities with our asphalt. Here in 2019, we just recently got this much of the data in from the rating. We're still in 1st place with concrete, but actually our streets are we're further away, pulling ahead from the rest of the city. So our concrete streets are in great shape compared to everybody else. And we've moved from 4th place to 3rd place with our asphalt. So I want to caution you too much from looking at what the actual numeric score is in 2019 versus 2014, because there was some methodology change. So what's most relevant here is how we fare compared to other cities. I think that gives you a better idea of how we're doing with our streets. Score going down doesn't necessarily mean the conditions gotten worse. It's probably got a lot more to do with the way the scoring took place. So that starts this discussion off with understanding that we've done well with our street conditions, and we're in a decent place. And I wanted to talk about the concepts that I kept in mind as I adjusted the CIP and have this recommendation for you. The first is that, as we talked before, grant projects are going to stay in the CIP on their current schedule. We need to do that to stay in good graces with the grant agencies. These projects are relatively inexpensive, and we don't want to have to pay back the portions of those grants we've already spent. For projects that are not grant projects, that are city funded, but that we've announced to residents and put in the CIP, I left those in the CIP, but I may have had to delay them to make finances work out. So if we've promised somebody that a stormwater project on their street's going to be done in 2022, we may have had to move it to 2023, but it's still going to happen. And then in the big picture, project expenses were balanced against revenues by adjusting mostly the overlay and slab contract amounts, or by doing some project delays. I did add 3 new grant projects. One of them's the Uptown Sidewalk Project. The other is the Uptown Overlay and Curb Project I just mentioned. And the third would be a overlay and a sidewalk upgrade on Technology Drive similar to what we're doing in shops at Hawk Ridge next year. So that street needs an overlay, and it's qualifies for grant funding, so we might as well get that grant money. And before I get into the specific projects, I just wanted to show you this. I have made an attempt to look at where we stand with our funds, with our revenues, which are for CIP is generally grant revenues. We have the capital sales tax, which for next year we're showing a pretty substantial decrease, and our transfer from general fund, which for this coming year, 2020, 2021, we're not projecting any transfer from general fund. Next year, I projected $300,000 transfer to give us some time to build back our general fund fund balance before we go back to the normal $700,000 a year general fund transfer. So these 2020 projects you've already seen, those were already approved in next year's budget. And you've seen most of the rest of these projects. They have been in previous discussions of the CIP for 2021, 2022, we would have the Uptown Sidewalk, the design of the Uptown Sidewalk project. In 2022, we would have we would start the Technology Drive overlay project with the design phase, and we'd have property acquisition on the Uptown Sidewalk project. I want to also note that I've moved North Hinkie from 2021-22. It was originally intended to be 2020-2021. This year with our budget, we've moved it to 21-22 because we don't have enough revenue for this coming year. But because of the projected continued revenue shortfalls and bringing in these two new projects, they don't cost us very much, so it's not really their fault. It's mostly from the revenue shortfalls. I went ahead and moved North Hinkie all the way back to 2022-23. That's another 2-year delay. So if we do end up having a better revenue situation, that would be the first project I'd like to move back up. And that would allow us to increase the overlay and slab projects for 2022-23. 2023, we've got the actual construction of the Uptown pavement and Uptown sidewalk. And we'd be in our property acquisition phase for Technology Drive. And then 2024 is the last year that I've got any projections for. So it's just our overlay, our slab projects, and that Technology Drive. We're going to have to start talking about what our next big project is, and that's where we look at these future projects. For us to keep grant money coming into the city the way we have been able to set up the last few years, we really need to plan ahead. So we won't even be applying for these, most likely, if we do the Technology Drive project, we won't even be applying for these in the next coming grant round. But we need to start planning now so that we're ready in a year and a half when it's time to do that grant application. So I need to know which project, not tonight, but I need to know what project the board wants to prioritize of these. Probably 2, because the 89 Champaign Stormwater Project will not qualify for any grants, and I don't see that being feasible in our current funding situation. Orf Road from Ridgeway to Lake St. Louis Boulevard is not going to qualify for any grants. So it's probably going to be a little while before we can move forward with that. So we're looking at Orford West between Dwello and Lake St. Louis Boulevard, probably in 2 or 3 phases, and Lake St. Louis Boulevard between Highway 40 and Highway N, probably in 2 or 3 phases, as one of those 2 projects as our next big project. I think that the public has been pushing for Orf Road. I do not know how well it'll score, but Lake St. Louis Boulevard will score well. I think that's got a good chance of being a project that we can get built with grant money. And I'll try to wrap it up with an explanation of this. You may want to look at this further. This is kind of a confusing, and I guess I should have changed the title on this. At first, this is sort of a confusing chart, but the lines represent our revenues and they're additive. So we start here with our baseline capital improvement sales tax. We get that dip next year that we're anticipating because of COVID. Added to that is grant revenues that we've seen over the years and what we project over the next 3 or 4 years. And the gray line here is our transfer from the general fund. And you see that going to 0 here for the next year. The bars are our projects and the different types of projects we do. So you can see on some years we've spent less on projects than we collected in revenues. So that added to fund balance. And you can see that here 2018, 2019, I think largely what happened here is we started projects in June that didn't get finished until July and August. And so they show up here as expenses in 2019-20, although the revenues that balance them were back here. That kind of gives you an idea of how things have changed over the years, and shows you why Terry's so stressed out, because he's been pretty busy planning these projects for the last year or two to set us up for all this grant money we're getting over the next 4 years. And that was quick, and I think we're out of time, but are there any questions?
I don't have any. Looks good to me.
No. Yeah, looks good. Just some things to think about for the future.
Yep.
And I think if the board doesn't have any questions right now about this CIP and is okay with it, we'll continue on with this plan and with the idea that we'll be applying for a grant for the uptown sidewalk and the uptown overlay both. So a TAP application now and an STP application in probably February.
Hey, Derek,
Yes, sir.
could you possibly, when the changes occur and you notice that they're going to be changed like every 3 months or 6 months, can you bring that to our attention?
Which changes are those?
If there's any changes that
Oh,
you
okay.
foresee, it would only take you about 10 minutes on one of our meetings to show us we changed the CIP to this because of this, so we know what's going on.
I usually set this up every year, and then we pretty much stick to it for the next year. So, but if there are any other changes, I will try to bring them to you.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
We only got 5 minutes left.
Yeah, tell Terry thanks for putting all this together, Derek. This is good information.
Will do. And I'll see if I can
Unmute. Paul.
Paul?
Right back.
I'm muted. Okay. Hey, Matt, are you on the line to talk about the little libraries?
Sure. Thanks, Paul. I know we just have a few minutes and I don't have that much to share. I just wanted to follow up on our discussion from a couple of weeks ago about the little libraries. My understanding is that there's one that you're considering approving now, that would be placed in what is essentially an island in the middle of a court or a roundabout, so to speak. And that area where this would be placed as part of the city's right-of-way. I do worry that when you have something in the right-of-way, especially in an area like that, that you have children or you may have adults who are stopping their cars on the side of the street, who are walking from the sidewalk or walking from yards over to the little library, trying to get access to whatever is in there. And I think that there's a possibility that if somebody gets injured, the city may be facing some liability. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that, and to just ask potentially of Derek, to add one more thing to Derek's plate, that we evaluate whether there may be any standards that exist that we could look to that would help us in identifying where this should be situated or how it should be situated. Derek, I don't know if there's some kind of equivalent of NHTSA or something like that that provides some kind of guidance to us. But I'd like for us to be in a position to be able to say, in the event that there's some exposure for the city, that we followed the reasonable standards that were in place at the time and took all of the steps that we could to try to protect the public that may be accessing the little library in our right-of-way.
I've thought about this a little bit, and the only things that come to mind are the standards that would apply to kind of two perspectives. One is the perspective of a motorist driving past this installation. So that'd be really roadside design guide. And in the locations that are proposed, that really wouldn't apply because of the low speeds. If it were ever on a higher speed road, there would be a setback away from the road you'd want to have. But those don't come to play at lower speeds. And then would be the perspective of a pedestrian. And in that case, I think you might look at the sidewalk standards, you might look at ADA regulations. So having this thing be accessible from a sidewalk, that would be a problem with the proposal of the library that is proposed to be in the center of a cul-de-sac island. There's no sidewalk to go there. In fact, there's no sidewalks in that subdivision. So it would not be ADA accessible. And you would have pedestrians potentially walking on the streets to access this. And again, there's no sidewalks in that whole subdivision. So anybody walking from one house to the next is in the same boat. And I don't know. I think, it's in a cul-de-sac. It's a very low speed location. And I think it may just be a situation where you just have to decide, is this a risk I can live with, or do I not want to have any risks at all?
I can tell you up front that I'm against putting one of these things in for the reasons I talked about in the last couple. Visualize, for example, to a brother and sister getting one of the books, and the brother gets the book and the sister wants it, and they chase him out into the street, and cars coming around and banging your gun. That's the kind of stuff that happened over here on Fox Trail. And when we're losing, the second thing is we're losing the fact that we are setting a precedent. If we do something like this, we're setting a precedent, which I'm totally against, to continue on a path to allow access to our right-of-ways, and I'm not for that.
I talked to Reba Smedgehammer. She's got one right near her house. And she says she doesn't see any kids using them. It's usually adults using them.
And I do know where this location is. In fact, it was somebody that lives there that asked me originally about it. It is a very low speed street. It's not even one you could go fast on, I don't think, if you wanted to. It's not a large subdivision. I guess I don't really, if we have the option, and I think we always do, that we can assess the location, I don't think this location is a problem. Now, granted, I agree with John, Fox Trail would not be a good location. Dauphine Drive, Rue Grand, there's just streets that would not even, I wouldn't even consider it. But this one, it's back in a cul-de-sac. There's not a lot of homes back there. I guess I'm not seeing a problem with this one.
I guess we use a little. I think you lose a little common sense here, and it would seem to me, if you're gonna try one, this would be the one to try. And
Right.
if you get
Yeah.
problems, then we stop.
I agree with John about the right of way. Does this have to be decided tonight?
No,
Perhaps we can do this another time or next meeting and talk about some of the standards that Matt was asking about, just to make sure.
Matt,
I know other cities have these, and I don't know if we've talked to any other cities. I know St. Peter's has them.
So I believe that they're present in a lot of other cities. I don't know whether those ones that they have are in city right of way. For example, I see a lot in De Pere and Kirkwood near where my home is, and they're almost all universally on somebody's private property.
I polled
Problem with that.
cities that I could get to respond. I don't think it's very common for them to be installed in right of way. There are very few cities that prohibit them altogether, like we have been. Most just ignore them. Richmond Heights actually will set the post for you if you want to put one up in Richmond Heights.
I think we postpone this to our next meeting.
I'll second that. Do we have a moment to adjourn?
Second.
We're 1 minute after late.
Yep, I know. Can we just have 1 minute?
No. Okay, you got a minute. You need a minute.
All right, thank you.
I think Karen needs a minute. Go ahead.
She's fast for a woman if she can walk all the way to that bathroom. Oh, she's at home. Yeah,
It's real close,
yeah, it's real close. I know where it is.
close to where her office is.
Yeah, I know where it is.
So Mike, you got rid of your boat.
I
You're not
did.
gonna want to be out on the water now?
I've had a boat since 1978. And the last 2 years, we've probably used it 3 or 4 times a year at the most.
So what they
And
say about a boat owners, they say the best time.
I know,
No, I don't agree with that.
happiest you are is when you buy it, and the happiest you are is when you sell it.
I don't even want to say how many boats we have right now.
I've had 5 on the lake, not at the same time, but I had 5 different boats. But and I was a river boater for years.
Where you?
And I owned a house at Table Rock.
Right. You had yours there.
Yeah, I mean, we and my grandkids are not. They're one's going to be a sophomore in college and a senior, and they're not going to come in. They come to Florida.
Hey, Adam.
Yes, sir.
Brad Goss is trying to get on the line. He said his link is not working.
Yeah, he's joining the wrong one. He's joining the PZ and C meeting that was last week.
Okay, so I need to get him the meeting ID.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this meeting.
Yeah, I sent that
I can
earlier.
send it over to
Okay.
you.
I've got it.
Okay.
No. Take the dog. I can't take her. Nothing up.
Ponka need a belly rub.
She's trying to jump in my lap.
She's just a little dog. Or she thinks she is.
Okay, I'll let Paul let me know if he's ready to begin the meeting.
I'm ready.
Okay, you ready? Okay, call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
United
States
States of America and to the
And to the
republic
republic for which
for which it stands, one nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
On a roll call vote, please.
Mayor Swiker,
Here.
Alderman Law,
Here.
Alderman Turner,
Here.
Alderman Torlina,
Here.
Alderman Pellerito,
Here.
Alderman Potter,
Here,
Alderman Bernard.
Here.
You have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you. And I think, Donna, you said we did not receive anything from Bishop Lance Hudson for the invocation.
That's correct, and we did not receive any written comments for the meeting either.
Okay, I'm going to do something a little different. Under announcements, since we don't have an invocation, I am going to read, I know Gary Turner had a suggestion on a resolution, and I'm going to reread a resolution that we approved last October in support of our police. I know there's been a lot going on around the country, defunding the police, negative police comments. And yes, with any field, even the field I'm in, I know there's going to be a few bad apples everywhere, and that doesn't make every police officer, every investment person, anyone out there a bad person. So I do want to read the resolution that we had last year, and it was resolution number 10-07-191, a resolution recognizing and supporting the Lake St. Louis police officers and all first responders throughout the St. Louis region. Whereas law and order in any community must be a collaboration between the citizens of that community, the police, and prosecutors they employ. And whereas policing in American communities is a stressful, highly technical vocation in which officers know that their every public interaction is subject to being photographed or filmed and subject to public and media scrutiny. And whereas the public often draws conclusions regarding an officer's actions without the appropriate awareness of the circumstances of the incident. And whereas recent studies by the Manhattan Institute and others have warned that crime will begin to rise as officers become less willing to initiate a contact with the public. And whereas police officers must have the support of their community and elected leaders to do their job effectively. And whereas in the fall of 2015 at a strategy session called by the Department of Justice with the nation's senior law enforcement chiefs and mayor, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel told Attorney General Loretta Lynch that his officers were feeble. They have pulled back from the ability to interdict. They don't want to be a news stories themselves. They don't want their careers ended early, and it's having an impact. And whereas the challenge going forward, New York City Police Commissioner William Bratner said, is to keep it in balance so that our city officers feel that we ask them to go forward, that if they in fact do the right thing, we will be supportive. And whereas increases in crime occurring as a result of police disengagement will be stemmed only by a clear message to police that when they do the right thing, they will be supported by the citizens, community, police leadership, prosecutors, and the elected officials of the county, city here in our case. Whereas according to the most recent data, 2018, reported to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, 106 law enforcement officers were killed in the line of duty in the United States and Puerto Rico. And whereas Lake St. Louis is a part of the larger St. Louis region, and the Lake St. Louis Board of Aldermen want to recognize and show support for law enforcement officers throughout the St. Louis region. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Lake St. Louis as follows. The Board of Aldermen of the City of Lake St. Louis calls upon the governing bodies and prosecutors of the St. Louis region to express their support for the police officers who are on their job, doing the right thing, supporting the safe and law-abiding citizens of the community. In section 2, the city clerk is hereby directed to provide this resolution to the governing body of every municipality and political subdivision in St. Charles County, and to request that such bodies pass similar resolutions to ensure that every law enforcement officer in the county knows that they are supported in their efforts to deliver quality public safety services to the citizens and guests of this county. And this was passed the 7th day of October, 2019. And Chief, I'd like you to pass it on again, that we've reiterated this resolution for our officers in this time, and continue to show our appreciation from all of us, all of the elected officials.
I will, Mayor. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And just know that, you know, your support and the community support helps us recruit and retain good police officers. So we appreciate that. And I know that Gary had that suggestion, and I want to thank him too for that. And like I said, it's good to work in a place where everybody supports you.
Thanks.
Kathy? My
Yes.
only comment, other than the fact that there's probably more up-to-date statistics, is that
Oh, yes.
I would like some way, and I know you talk about it news time, of course, we never get it here in our subdivision anymore.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay, I'm sorry,
No, I
Gary.
don't know. Somebody might have said don't deliver them anymore in some way, but that's beside the point. But I really would like to see it, the resolution like you just read. I have no problem with it, and I like it, and I know Chris does. I guess I'd like to get it to the media, if they even print good things anymore.
News time does.
We are once again supporting it as we've done previously, the police department. And I know I sent an email to her, and Chris looked at it, because I did see the signs of that one sign that says we support the local police. And I don't know where it came from, but I really liked it. And I'm sure I can get a lot of folks in my subdivision to put that sign up in their yard.
There are people that have signs I've seen in their yard. And some of them look standard, so I don't know where they had them made either.
Yeah, and these are, the one I saw was pre-printed, and I hadn't seen one before. So that's why I mentioned it in my email.
Yeah, we have a point of contact, I think, at the PD that might know where they got those. So I'm reaching out to him, and I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Kathy?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes, Mike?
Oh, I didn't know if you could hear me.
Yes.
We're talking about our police department, not just
Right.
our police department. I don't know, you know, the cities, but you know, we've had some bad apples, but management took care of it. And that's some of the problems that I see in these other cities, that they didn't take care of a problem officer. And we do. So.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Okay, committee reports. I'm pretty sure we don't have any HOA reps. I don't think any, when I look who called in, I don't see any HOAs. Planning and Zoning Commission. John, I don't think we haven't, I think.
June 4th.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, we had 2 items on the agenda on June 4th, and there'll be a bill for both of them in tonight's agenda, business agenda. First one is 301 Parkway Industrial Drive, which was commercial condos approved without much discussion. And 1744 Prospect purpose record, which was also approved, but there was some discussion about exterior lighting, and the commission approved based on the fact that if that becomes an issue, which it isn't right now, staff will review and approve at a staff level. And that bill is on the agenda also.
Okay, thanks, John. Park Board, Jason?
We do not have one that was canceled tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Tree Board, Gary?
We meet tomorrow by way of Zoom.
Okay. And since we have a couple people on, I guess if somebody briefly wants to go over A&F, that would be Jason.
Yeah, sure. We discussed the summer concert series and the movies. Due to budget restraints and the COVID, we were a little worried about having concerts this year, but we've decided to have 2 concerts and a movie. Darren's going to be able to come out with a schedule at a later time on which ones we're going to do, with a budget of $7,500. We also talked about the transportation, basically our road program. We're going to continue to try to do all of our grants. We're going to have to rearrange some projects, and Derek's going to get back to us if there's any changes from what he has already placed on the schedule. And then we discussed the little library and the right-of-way. We're going to continue to discuss that in the future. There's just a couple of things we have to work out, and that's all we have, Mayor.
Thank you. Thanks, Jason. Development Review Board, I don't think we've had anything, Mike, have we?
No.
No. City Image Advisory Committee?
We haven't met. George, did they want to have a meeting here pretty soon?
Yes, looking at possibly July meeting.
Okay.
Thanks. And is there any other reports? I don't think, just with everything with the COVID, we haven't even had, we had a county meeting, but I think I reported on that since the last time. We haven't had one since then. It was a Zoom meeting, Zoom type meeting. Karen?
We did have a, what they call a Finance and Taxation Committee meeting, a Zoom meeting for the MML. We talked about quite a bit of stuff like sales tax, caps, some of the things that are going on up at state. Of course, they all complain about our contingent being a big problem here. The biggest thing that I took away from this is we had a discussion about the cable and video franchising fees and the fact that we're losing money on it. This could actually be tied to the Wayfair bill that they're looking at for use taxes or internet sales taxes. So there's some discussion about maybe doing some kind of quid pro quo, saying, you know, we'll support the video franchising fees if we can get the Wayfair bill. So there's quite a few things on here. If anybody's interested, I'd be happy to give you a copy of some of the changes we made that we thought would be of benefit. So that concludes my report.
Okay, thanks, Karen. Anyone else?
Nope.
Okay, we will go to the public hearings. The first one is 301 Parkway Industrial Drive, Lamb Construction Condominium Plat, Preliminary Subdivision Plat, and Final Subdivision Plat. Consideration of a request by David Maxwell, Premier Design Group applicant, on behalf of Parkway Industrial Properties LLC owner, to convert an existing 11,948 square foot commercial building into 2 condominium units. And these are commercial. It's not like a condominium someone's going to live in. I think someone had that question on P&Z. At the June 4th, 2020 P&Z meeting, this item was recommended for approval. And I didn't know if the applicant was here to speak to it, or if, I know Lewis is on vacation. Was there anyone here to speak? Okay, is Heather Hall here for the, is anyone here for the applicant?
We're here for Mike Powell.
Okay, Judy Crowell.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just here in case there's any questions for us.
Okay.
We saw that it was already approved in the last meeting, but we just wanted to make sure that we were representing both of us here today.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from the board on this?
I have none. Seems to be a pretty good project.
Okay, if there is none, I will close the public hearing to that. The next item is 1744 Prospect Road, Purpose Record Zoning Amendment, Preliminary Subdivision Plat, Final Subdivision Plat, Special Use Permit, and site plan review. Consideration of a request by Purpose Investments, applicant owner, for the zoning, subdivision, use and development of the subject property in accordance with an approved pre-annexation agreement. Proposed lot 1 measures 8.135 acres. The proposed zoning is LI light industrial. A new material and equipment storage yard is proposed. Proposed lot 2 measures 13.302 acres. The proposed zoning is SR1, single family residential. No development is proposed. Proposed lot 3 measures 7.101 acres. The proposed zoning is BP Business Park. No development is proposed. At the June 4th, 2020 P&Z meeting, this item was recommended for approval. And I don't know if the applicant wanted to speak on this or.
Yeah, my name is Brad Goss, and I'm happy to go through the presentation that we presented to Planning and Zoning, if the board would like me to do so. But if the board also would prefer I not, in the interest of time, I'm certainly happy to handle it that way as well. But I'm happy to go through the proposal. I do have the PowerPoint, and assuming I can master the technology, you'll be able to see it as well. So,
okay, would the board like to see that, or do they?
I like the project. I read about it. I'm fine. Yeah. I'm fine as it is.
Me too.
I've seen
it.
It looks good to me.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Okay, I think we saved you, Brad, from having to do the presentation.
That was my most effective presentation ever. Thank you.
Nothing personal.
Well, thanks. We did see it at P&Z though, so it wasn't for nothing. And
Thank
is
you.
there anyone who'd like to speak to that? They called in. Okay, and any questions?
If I may, my name is Heather Hall, and we got notices in the mail. We own one of the properties that abuts the project at 1744 Prospect.
Okay.
And I spoke with a representative in the community development part. I've seen the plans. I've spoken with them. Our Purpose Wrecker has actually been a really good neighbor. My only question, really probably more pointed to Brad, is right now we have a road that backs up our properties that I think as part of the proposal is going to be annexed into lot 1. And the nature of the properties here in the subdivision are that they have walkout basements and the backyards are sloping downward toward that road. Right now, under that road, there is some drainage area where there's a pipe going under the road where it drains off. Our main concern, I guess, or the question we have is more related to the drainage side of this, because all of the houses over here are kind of set the same way and the slope is the same. So we just wanted to make sure that there is some, if we're building up that parking lot on lot 1, that there's some avenue for the runoff to go, or that's going to be addressed somehow in the project.
Sure, that's a good question. We are not disturbing the tree line that's next to your property and all of your adjoining neighbors. We are not disturbing the road. It's remaining as it is. And the tree line on what will be the eastern side of the road, across the road, is also not being disturbed. So we're not doing anything that's going to actively change any of that area. So I think as far as that goes, there should be no impact, but appreciate you bringing it up, and certainly we'll make sure our engineers are mindful of that.
Thank you.
Oh, Heather, what's your address, please? We need it for the record for the city clerk.
Yeah, so I live at 1420 Prospect Lakes Drive, and that's Winsville, Missouri 63385.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other questions or any questions from the board?
Have none.
Okay, if there are none, I will close this public hearing. Okay, calendar, Paul.
Okay, so on the calendar, you'll see a park board meeting scheduled for tomorrow night, but that meeting's been canceled. The tree board will have a meeting. Board of Adjustment for Thursday has been canceled. Next week's kind of quiet. We have a court on the 23rd. By the way, our court went real well with social distancing and the new measures that we put in place. The judge was sitting in the court offices at one of the windows, and we had people walking in the same direction where they came in the front door, and then they walked out through the police overnight door. So it worked out real well. They're going to have court on the 23rd. Then we get into the month of July. Planning Commission meets on Thursday the 2nd.
No, we're not having one.
They
in
got
July.
canceled. That's
That
right.
got canceled, yes.
Got canceled. And City Hall's closed that following day on the 3rd. Our next board meeting is July 6th. That's all I have.
At City Hall.
At City Hall. Yep.
Thanks, Paul. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the June 1st, 2020 regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated below?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Appointments, I have none. Public comment, Donna did not receive any public comment for this meeting.
I have one question, quick question. Did Mattingly's ever apply for their liquor license? Wasn't on the list.
Maybe you should mention that. They overnighted an application. I just received it.
So we have to wait till the next meeting?
Well, that would be at your pleasure. The only thing I think that is going to cause them an issue is they do not have a state license. If the board wanted to approve their license once they get their state, they might be able to get it sooner than our next meeting, which is the 6th, if that is the board's direction.
So would it be appropriate to make a motion to approve a contingent upon them getting a state license?
I would understand that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved.
Thank
Contingent
you.
on them receiving the state license. Thank you, Donna. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Appointments, as I said, I have none. Public comment. Do not have any. No tabled items, no old business. Under new business, do I have a motion for the first reading of bill number 4333 in title only?
Start with Jason.
Motion for the first reading of bill number 4333 and title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill, please?
Bill number 4333, an ordinance approving a preliminary subdivision plat and final subdivision plat associated with a conversion of an existing 11,948 square foot commercial building located at 301 Parkway Industrial Court into 2 condominium units.
Motion for the second reading of bill number 4333 and title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill again, please?
Bill number 4333, an ordinance approving a preliminary subdivision plat and final subdivision plat associated with the conversion of an existing 11,948 square foot commercial building located at 301 Parkway Industrial Court into 2 condominium units.
Motion to approve the second reading and assign the next ordinance number.
Second.
Donna, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Law,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Torlina,
Aye.
Alderman Pellerito,
Aye.
Alderman Potter, Alderman Potter,
Mute.
Alderman Potter,
He's approved.
Yeah.
there we go.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Alderman Bernard,
Aye.
motion passes. Ordinance 4,121.
Do I have a motion for the first reading of bill number 4334 in title only?
Move for first reading of bill number 4334 by title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill, please?
Bill number 4334, an ordinance approving a zoning amendment, preliminary subdivision plat and final subdivision plat for property voluntarily annexed into the city of Lake St. Louis located at 1744 Prospect Road.
Move for a second reading of bill number 4334 by title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill again, please?
Bill number 4334, an ordinance approving a zoning amendment, preliminary subdivision plat and final subdivision plat for property voluntarily annexed into the city of Lake St. Louis located at 1744 Prospect Road.
Move to accept the second reading of bill number 4334 by title only and assign next ordinance number.
Second.
Donna, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Law,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Torlina,
Aye.
Alderman Pellerito,
Aye.
Alderman Potter,
Aye.
Alderman Bernard.
Aye.
Motion passes. Ordinance number 4,122.
Do I have a motion for the first reading of bill number 4335 in title only?
Motion for first reading of bill number 4335 by title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill, please?
Bill number 4335, an ordinance to authorize the mayor and/or city administrator to execute a lighting and maintenance agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission.
Motion for second reading of bill number 4335 by title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill again, please?
Bill number 4335, an ordinance to authorize the mayor and/or city administrator to execute a lighting and maintenance agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission.
Motion to accept the second reading of bill number 4335 and assign the next ordinance number.
Second.
Donna, roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Torlina,
Aye.
Alderman Pellerito,
Aye.
Alderman Potter,
Aye.
Alderman Bernard.
Aye.
Motion passes. Ordinance number 4,123.
Do I have a motion for the first reading of bill number 4336 in title only?
Motion for the
Second.
motion for the first
Second.
reading of bill number 4336 by title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill, please?
Bill number 4336, an ordinance to adopt a budget revision for the city of Lake St. Louis's budgets for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019, ending June 30th, 2020.
Motion for the second reading of bill number 4336 by title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill again, please?
Bill number 4336, an ordinance to adopt a budget revision for the city of Lake St. Louis's budgets for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019, ending June 30th, 2020.
Motion to accept the second reading of bill number 4336 and assign the next ordinance in sequence.
Second.
Donna, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Law,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Torlina,
Aye.
Alderman Pellerito,
Aye.
Alderman Potter,
Aye.
Alderman Bernard.
Aye.
Motion passes. Ordinance number 4,124.
Do I have a motion for the first reading of bill number 4337 in title only?
Motion for the first reading of bill number 4337 in title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill, please?
Bill number 4337, an ordinance to award a contract to Collins and Herman Inc. for the Dolphin Drive Guardrail Project and authorize the mayor and/or city administrator to execute said contract on behalf of the city.
Motion for the second reading of bill number 4337 in title only.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Donna, could you read the bill again, please?
Bill number 4337, an ordinance to award a contract to Collins and Herman, Inc. for the Dauphine Drive Guardrail Project and authorize the mayor and/or city administrator to execute said contract on behalf of the city.
Motion to accept the second reading of bill number 4337 and assign the next ordinance number.
Second.
Donna, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Law.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Torlina.
Aye.
Alderman Pellerito.
Aye.
Alderman Potter.
Aye.
Alderman Bernard.
Aye.
Motion passes. Ordinance number 4125.
Resolution number 06-15-21, a resolution authorizing city officials to submit a grant application for Lake St. Louis Boulevard Business District sidewalk, requesting funds from East West Gateway on behalf of the city of Lake St. Louis, Missouri. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve is read.
Second.
Donna, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Law.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Torlina.
Aye.
Alderman Pellerito.
Aye.
Alderman Potter.
Aye.
Alderman Bernard.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Resolution number 06-15-22, a resolution approving a site plan and special use permit associated with the material and equipment storage yard located at 1744 Prospect Road, Lot 1. Do I have a motion?
Move we approve as read.
Second.
Donna, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Law.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Pellerito.
Aye.
Alderman Potter.
Aye.
Alderman Bernard.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Board comments. I'll start with Jason. I'm going to go by by my screen here instead of where you sit.
I have nothing to say, Mayor, except I'm excited to see everybody July 6th.
Yep, we'll be that's true. Okay, oops. Let's see, Karen.
I will echo whatever Jason just said, and you missed Gary. You jumped over
Oh.
Gary.
Okay.
Aye.
Gary Turner.
Yes, one thing that I want us to remember, because I was advised of a possible development, that City of Chesterfield made a mistake when they approved 2 outlet malls, in my opinion. And now they're reaping the benefits, or I should say the detriment of it. I guess what I'm pointing out is possibility of a new car wash right across from an existing car wash, and which is just down the street from about a mile down from another one, or not even a mile. So all I'm saying is when developments like this come up, we need to be cognizant. We want new businesses, but we also don't want to accept businesses that are going to be a detriment to existing businesses. That's all I wanted to bring up.
Well, the only thing I have to say to that is it looks like in a couple meetings, we may have a new grocery store in the city. So would you say that's not fair? Just not too far away. That's going to be competition with Aldi. It's going to be competition with Schnucks. We have several fast food restaurants, other restaurants. Just like when Lowe's was going to come in, or Lowe's, when Menards was thinking of coming in. Now it wasn't in the city, but I don't think if a use is permitted that we can just say we don't want it there because it's competition to somebody else. That's my personal thought. I know others may not agree, but that's my thought, that we have a lot of businesses that, a lot of gas stations in one location, and pretty much 3 gas stations really close up there at the intersection of I-70 and Lake St. Louis Boulevard. So,
Well, I think those things are well put, but then there's a different set of competition. And I'm talking about.
2 of them have car washes.
That's all I'm talking about, and I'll stand by what I said.
Okay. I disagree though, but thank you. Okay, let's see. Mike, who I can't see.
Oh, you can't? Good.
There, now we see you.
Two things. I agree with Kathy on the car wash. I went over and met him and told him that. And first of all, I don't think it's legal that we can, if we want to change our rules, then we could make it legal, maybe. I don't know. But he was okay with that. He was okay with that. I saw him Saturday morning. And Gary, I think, saw him Friday. But whatever. I also think, and I'm not against the police, the resolution, but I think it'd be nice if either Kathy or Paul or write a letter to all the employees thanking them for their patience and stuff going through the work, working from home. It's not always that easy. And I think it'd be nice. I think they'd appreciate a personal letter rather than one in the newspaper. But
Right.
I think it'd be nice to write everybody.
Thanks.
Just a simple letter.
And you guys too. It's more than just me. It's all of us. Thanks. That's a great idea. Okay. John.
Yeah, let me back up Gary Turner on this one. I agree with him because under law and economics, information and encyclopedia, they have actually a car wash capture rate paragraph, and it says industry studies state a car wash will capture 0.06 to 1.5% of the daily traffic which passes its location. Thus, the higher the traffic count, the better the business's chance of success. Industry studies also reveal the average car wash location's daily traffic count is 24,000 cars. And I understand what, let me finish.
Okay.
I understand what everybody says. We may not be able to do anything about it, but we can consider looking into it because we don't want to close down car washes because they're in competition with each other at that location, especially. So something to consider. The second thing I got is July 6th. We're going back to meeting. How are we going to be situated? I really don't want to be sitting next to anybody.
I'll sit next to I'll be in the audience.
Yeah. So I'd like to know where we're gonna, Paul, you got any idea on that? You got that set up? Paul?
He's on mute. Paul, you're on mute. Okay.
Okay. How many times I forget? So we've talked about this. We think that we can put some tables, extra tables for the board to sit in, either in front of the existing dais or off to the side. And then I was thinking where Matt, Lewis and I sit, just have one person there, probably Matt Ray, and then I'll sit back in the audience. We'll figure it out, John. We want to have plenty of distance between everybody.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Do you mind if I ask John a question? When you were talking about the numbers, did you say 24,000, John? On the car washes?
That's the average car wash. Daily traffic count is 24,000 cars.
Wow. Thanks, John.
Gary Torlina?
Yeah, I'll be very glad to meet in City Hall next time. And as far as the car wash goes, I'd have to look at the legality of telling somebody they can't put one across the street from another one. That's it.
Okay. Let's see. We've got Derek. I'm probably going out of order.
That's okay, thanks. I don't really have anything to add other than just we're going to need to have a brief executive session.
Yes. Thanks for a reminder. I thought about it and then I forgot about it after asking everyone for their comments. Thanks. Okay. Chief?
Yeah, Mayor, just want to reiterate, thank you for all the support to everybody. who supported us. And Gary Turner brought up cookies earlier today. I just wanted to let you know, Gary, those are gone already. So we appreciate it that they are. I got the last one, so that's all I got.
George?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, Paul?
I didn't have anything else either.
Okay. Matt?
Nothing this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Donna?
Apology to Alderman Torlina if I missed him.
No problem.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Alderman Torlina, Alderman Bernard, and Alderman Law on the re-election. So we have the same board again. I think we've had the same board now for about, what, 5-6 years, and it's been a good board, so congratulations. And it's typical in these elections, a lot of people don't vote. I don't know if more came out because of the school board issues, but those did pass. I mean, not school board, but school tax issues, and both of those did pass. And as many of you know, as all of you know, Chief had asked me to join, he and our St. Charles County Chief, Freese, to join them in the peaceful protest last Thursday for the Black Lives Matter. And it was, you know, sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone. And I was happy to be a part of that. It was very peaceful. They wanted us to talk. They wanted us to be involved, hear their message. And then several of them came up and talked to us, wanted pictures with us. Some had signs that said, but you know, we still love the police department. And I think all in all, it's a reflection of the area we live in too. But these organizers are really, they just don't want everyone to kind of forget the message. It isn't necessarily against police. It's just against prejudice, people being prejudiced. And they don't want the troublemakers out there either. They even said if they see anything going on, they as a group tell that person, you know, you're going to have to stop it or leave because that's not what we're all about. Nobody listens to the message. And I know that our own police department, because you never know, you know, we have traffic control that with a lot of the intersections, they took part in that. They had the drone out there. Just a lot of them, you know, you don't know what could happen because you've seen in some cities some things that have happened. And I made sure to let everybody know that evening, since I'd say half the department was working, my appreciation, not just for that night, but just for everything they do. And I think they know that we have a lot of support, not just the board, myself and the board, but residents. I think the residents all are very supportive. If there's rarely a negative comment, I know Melinda's been doing a fantastic job of putting things out on Facebook, out on Next Door Neighbor, and it's been very, very positive, the response back. You rarely see anything negative. So I think that's a reflection of how the department interacts with the public too. And I agree with what Mike's saying too, that we need to also thank the rest of the employees. It's kind of been a difficult time. I know some departments, they don't have the part-time people like the Parks Department that normally they would. I know with the front desk, we've had to let a few people go, and that's always hard if it's somebody you've been working with and they had to be furloughed. So it's just kind of a different type of environment we've all been working in. And I haven't received any complaints from any residents that, hey, nobody's up at City Hall, this isn't working for me. We haven't heard any complaints, so I think it must be going good. But I know it will be nice to get back there that the public can interact. I know there's a couple things, and I probably want to talk about a future ordinance. I think Alderman Bernard feels the same on some of the soliciting, and I'm going to ask for some different hours, especially this time of year. It's okay when it's light later, but I think we need to do something during during the winter months when it's darker, but we'll talk about that at a future meeting. And I guess I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session for real estate.
So moved.
Second.
Donna, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Law,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Corlina,
Aye.
Alderman Telerito,
Aye.
Alderman Potter,
Aye.
Alderman Bernard.
Aye.
Motion passes.